Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Kanye 2020. All right, and we're specifically going to talk about the power of the parties, because that's really important when it comes to Kanye West. All right, so recently Kanye West announced, I'm running for president. This happened in early June 2020. And it was a response to what's been happening in the masked months. So the masked months are an absolutely incredible time in American history. COVID-19 made everyone in America shelter in place for different periods of time. Made everyone wear masks, and then in the middle of that there was turmoil that just erupted in probably 36 cities across the United States of America, and tens of thousands of protesters went into the streets. All right, so these two events happening at the same time, there's really never been anything like this, and all this is happening in an election year, right? So there's really never been a year like 2020. I'm convinced this is the biggest thing to happen in American history since the Civil War. COVID is not a greater historical event than the Civil War. Civil War is a hinge in American history, but I'm absolutely convinced that that COVID-19 has the masked months have clearly very easily dwarfed what's happening with what happened with 9/11. 9/11 is going to be a footnote to this historical time, the masked months. And I also think it's bigger than World War II. And the reason why is there were really never boots on the ground in America during World War II. It was a spectator event. Like we watched while some terrible things happened across other seas, but really there was never any prolonged, massive amount of war events that happened on U.S. soil during World War II. So I really think COVID-19 is just absolutely unprecedented. So with that said, Kanye West comes out and announces his candidacy for president, right? And he does it by tweet. I don't think there's possibly a worse way you could possibly announce your presidency. And he's just like, hey, it's time to it says what every politician says. Hey, it's time that we recognize we need good leadership. Kanye 2020, I'm running for president. And everybody's like, what? It's just like, is this real? So, and honestly, if you announce you're running for president by tweet, this is gonna be hard for anyone to take that seriously. And that is exactly what happened. It really didn't look like many people took this seriously, and I don't think they did. And I want to talk about why that is. Does that have to do with Kanye West, or there's a whole lot involved here, right? So let's jump into it. So for the first question was, who's he running for? Is he running for Republican or Democrat? And so they had to go back, and he had to clarify he's running as he was like, I'm not a party. I'm just and then he said something about a birthday. It was he's typical Kanye West. His communication is not really clear and that's purposeful, right? He's an entertainer, he's a rapper, he's a television star, he is a clothing designer, specifically is a sneaker designer. I think he has his own clothing brand too, I think. But I know he created the Yeezys. The Yeezys are a specific sneaker shoe. I am a sneakerhead. I've never owned a pair of Yeezys. It's not a problem. I don't really like the rounded. It's a rounded feature on a shoe. It looks kind of like a lozenge, like that. It looks like kind of like a deformed lozenge. I'm not really that hot on his sneakers, but his sneakers were highly successful, and there was a period where they were very, very sought after. I don't think that period is still here. So he's a lot of things. He's a brilliant guy. He's made a ton of money. And there's always that big question. He's just like Trump. Is he a billionaire? Is he not? It's hard to tell. He may or may not be a billionaire. He definitely is a millionaire, no question about that. And probably hundreds of millions. He probably has hundreds of millions. The other thing is as far as his celebrity, he's definitely on the down arc, right? So he had some really hot banger songs 10, 15 years ago that I really enjoyed. But his recent album, his last like 3 recent albums, I didn't think they were even listenable. And I didn't even try his last one because I tried the 2 or 3 before that, and they just weren't good. So Kanye is a really interesting guy. He's an incredibly capable person. He's very smart. I think he's incredibly smart. But the issue here with what's happening right now is that Kanye is running for president unattached to the Democrat or Republican Party, the blues or the reds. Blue Democrat, red Republican. Without the blue or red party, you're done. That's it. Nobody needs to pay attention to whatever you're saying. No independent has ever won the American president ever, not once, and it will get harder for that circumstance to happen every single election, and that's exactly what's happening. Kanye is not attached to the red or blue party, to the Democrats or the Republicans, and for that reason and that reason alone, you can take him off the list. Nobody needs to pay attention to this candidacy because it's not real, right? And the reason why is without that party infrastructure, you don't have the mechanisms to really get elected, right? And the reason why is like right now, Kanye announced in June, right? Now, if you're announcing in June that you're running, the first question, there's a cascade of questions that happened the moment Kanye announced, and none of the answers were good. Are you aligned with the party? No, I'm not, right? How are you going to get on the ballot? I'm not going to get on the ballot. So here's the thing. Kanye is not going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. There will be multiple states where he has no ability to be on the ballot, right? Because of the sequencing, because of the timing, right? That means in multiple sets of states, multiple places where there are groups of millions of voters, Kanye will have no ability for those voters to vote for him except through a write-in. And not all states have write-in, right? So there's a distinct possibility there'll be entire states where Kanye will have no ability to get any votes. That's incredible, right? It made international news when Andrew Yang failed to complete the forms to be on the ballot, and I think that was for the primary in Connecticut, right? He missed a primary vote in Connecticut, and people laughed and said that you're not good at this. You're failing at basic functionality, right? And Andrew Yang's a brilliant guy who was incredibly driven and incredibly organized, and still missed being on the ballot in Connecticut, right? That was a major problem. One state. Kanye has announced that he is independent, and he's announcing this in June. There will be multiple states where people will have no ability to vote for him except through a write-in, which is incredibly difficult for most people to do. You can barely drag them to the polls, right? And then, in addition to that, there will probably be some states where he has no ability to be voted for at all. And that would be in a state where there is no write-in vote, right? That is absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like that. That's not good, right? That is absolutely not good. And so the reality is what, the first lesson taught by Kanye West's Kanye 2020 is that the red and the blue, the Republicans and the Democrats are incredibly, those parties are absolute, locomotives of productivity, organization, and power. And without those groups, you are not going to go anywhere. And you can see that this is manifested, that the Kanye 2020 announcement has evaporated very quickly. And there's almost no possibility that he'll be able to win this election. Is there a possibility that Kanye West can win the U.S. presidency? Absolutely, there is a possibility of it. I would say if you take 1% It is 1/1000th of a percent. That I would say that is Kanye West's 1/1000th of 1%, right? So be like 0.000. No, it'd be like 0.001, right? That is his percent in this election. He does have a chance now. He can be elected president, but it is 0.001%. Just astronomically low. All that is my opinion. What do you think? Do you think that people are right now considering Kanye West? And if they are they going to do the work to make sure that they know how to vote for him in their state? Because it is not going to be simple. And would they, teach others to do that? Do you think that he has? Do you think there's a higher probability that Kanye could be president than I am giving Kanye credit for? I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.